All right, let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, new head coach Mike MacDonald in his first training camp. A lot of energy in Seattle, and there's a great update for the Seahawks involving Coach Mike MacDonald as we're working our way through camp. Great news for Seattle. I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, so obviously Mike MacDonald has come into Seattle with a lot of fanfare for his intelligence in terms of X's and O's and just his defensive genius. We did a video recently talking about how a rival head coach, Sean McVay, is frankly scared to go up against Mike MacDonald multiple times this season for the foreseeable future. But it's not just his football IQ in terms of X's and O's that has really impressed the Seattle Seahawks when it comes to Mike MacDonald so far. It's his ability to understand the players and be who he is, be 100% authentic. Let's pull up this report, then we'll talk about it more in detail. On the other side, this is courtesy of SI.com. Hitting the recharge button after 2 physical practices to open up the week, the Seattle Seahawks kept their helmets, pads, and game jerseys at their lockers on a light, walkthrough heavy 7th training camp practice. As a first-time NFL head coach, Mike MacDonald has been careful looking out for the health of his players. He ended mandatory minicamp a day early in June to keep everyone fresh, heading into a long break before training camp opened. And on Wednesday, much to the appreciations of players such as cornerback Devin Witherspoon, he gave them a much-needed reprieve to rest their legs before returning to grueling padded practices for the rest of the week. All right, this is really important because Mike MacDonald, he's a smart guy. He's a young guy. He's an energetic guy, but he's also kind of an X's and O's guy. He's a strategy guy. That's who he is. He is not an old school football, Bill Parcells brawler. We're going to go 2-a-days, 3-a-days. He's not Vince Lombardi. By staying true to himself, being authentic, coming from the more modern coach model, which he obviously is, he's going to win the respect of the Seattle Seahawks players. If he had tried to come out and be a really hard, and be a tough guy, it would not have worked. He would have lost a lot of players in the locker room. The fact that he's giving them a reprieve, staying true to who he is in terms of his strategy, is a great sign for the Seattle Seahawks. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. But first, Seahawks fans, in the comment section below, obviously preseason right around the corner. Football is kind of sort of back. Preseason, it's football in some ways. Of course, the games don't count, but you still get to see a lot of new additions to the Seattle roster. And that leads me to my question for you guys today. Who is the one player you're looking forward to see in the preseason more than any other? Put them in the comment section below. Really curious what you guys have to say. And while you're down there in the comment section, make sure you check out our description box below for our affiliate link for our recommended book to get you ready for the upcoming NFL season. It is Playmakers by the great Mike Florio. It is a great read. I'm not just saying that. We bought the book. I read it. It's really good. Whether you use our affiliate link or not, I highly recommend you check it out. But if you do decide to buy it, please use our affiliate link. It costs you nothing extra and helps us out as a channel. But Miles, I'll throw it back over to you now. What are your thoughts on this latest move here by the Seahawks?
Yeah, Nick, I think the point you bring up about McDonald, being his own man, doing his own thing is really important because what I get out of this and what I'm reading from this is he's a guy that likes blended experiences. He takes what he likes from one aspect and then sheds the parts that he doesn't like. And I think it's showing here in what he's doing in these practices early on in his first foray as head coach. You talk about Baltimore. You talk when he's in Baltimore, grueling practices, notoriously one of the hardest conditioning tests, some of the harder training camps all throughout of the season. But what happens? They're notorious for having pretty big injuries the last couple years through their training camps. I think that's pretty tough. You look at Seattle Seahawks, Pete Carroll, what he's done. It says in the article later down, he would normally give guys back-to-back days off, days where you do absolutely nothing. And I think Mike McDonald's taken both of those and kind of blended them together. What we've seen from McDonald is his ability to say, all right, I don't think we need to drive these guys into the ground. I don't think that's the best aspect. But on the same thing, I don't think we should be doing nothing. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do padded walkthroughs. We're going to do mental reps. We're going to do things on our days off to make our bodies take a rest, but we're going to keep our mind sharp as well. So I think it's a pretty smart move. I think it's the best of both worlds. I'm sure the players appreciate it's a morale boost that you're not hitting each other every single day at practice. You get a little bit of break, but also McDonald's taking advantage of the time that they do have together. There's only a limited amount of time before the season comes up here. So you got to get things right, especially as a new head coach, installing 2 completely new systems. All of these reps count, even the mental reps. So I think what we're seeing from McDonald is a really smart approach. I love that he's taken things he learned in Baltimore, taking things that have been previously left from Seattle, blending those things together and making his own style. I think He's doing a really great job, and I can see why Sean McVay is a little bit nervous going up against this really smart head coach.
And it's important because he's sticking to what his strategy is, right? Mike McDonald is not brought in as a guy to change your culture. He's not a guy to come in to be a rah-rah guy. He's not a guy you bring in because he's the world's best talent evaluator. He might come to be that way, but it's not what he's known for, right? He's not a guy that's going to come in and is a quarterback guru where you bring in a head coach just to fix a quarterback. He's not a guy to be to turn around discipline issues or something like that. He's a guy to come in to be young and smart and revolutionize the Seahawks strategy, right? That's why he was brought into the fold. And to that end, he has to make sure his training camp, his practices, his schedule fits that strategy. Where the whole point here, the whole point of Mike MacDonald is, hey, listen, we're going to take a talented team with a lot of veteran pieces that are good, a lot of young pieces that are good, implement new strategies, certainly on defense, a revolutionary strategy we've talked about at length, and he's going to have to implement that, right? That's his whole game. That's why he came to Seattle. If he comes in and says, well, I'm going to be a culture guy, I'm going to be all about a culture shift, or I'm going to be a tough guy, we're going to do 5 padded practices in a row or something like that, that would be counterproductive, right? That's not who you are. That's not why you're brought into the fold. And I think the fact that he is not falling for that trap and he's sticking for who he is, and he understands and he's self-aware. This is really important. He's self-aware enough to understand, look, man, I'm here to come in to change our defensive strategies. I'm here to be an X's and O's guy. I'm not here to be the toughest guy in the world. Let somebody else do that. I'm not here to scream and yell and be rah-rah. That was Pete Carroll. That's not me. I'm going to be me. And that authenticity, that understanding, that self-awareness, that goes a long way. If you look at Andy Reid and what he's done with the Kansas City Chiefs, he's not a rah-rah guy. He's not a screaming and yelling guy. He's not a culture guy. He's not a drive the whip kind of guy. He's a guy that says, listen, I'm here to do X's and O's for the offense and empower my players to be better, right? And I'm going to stay kind of under the radar. That is obviously very successful. Bill Belichick was something different. Bill Parcells was something different. Pete Carroll was something different. But all the great coaches, they understand who they are and why they were brought to their teams to do, what their goal is, what the processes and systems are trying to put in place are. Mike MacDonald, very smartly for a first-time coach, understands it early, and this latest move is proof of that. And I think it's a really great sign for the Seattle Seahawks, because I think it will get more buy-in to this new Seahawks strategy from the players. And if the players buy in, paired with Mike MacDonald's brilliance, I think there's a chance for a really special future here in Seattle.